Hello, America. Dave Hodges here, host of the Common Sense Show. We are the show that is freeing America one enslaved mind at a time. Well, we are temporarily out of town. We're on Studio B. This is why you're seeing a different background. But anyway, now that we've dispensed with that, we are the show that's freeing America one enslaved mind at a time. Like we said, we hopefully we can free one enslaved soul at a time as well, defending God, family, country in that order. And we have a special place in our heart for the oppressed. We are brought to you by Noble Gold. And hear me clearly on this. And I mean, hear me clearly. My allegiance is to what's best for the country, the Constitution. And above that, my allegiance is to the teachings of Jesus Christ. My allegiance is to my family over country. And I would really feel that if Americans would follow God, family, country in that order, we could begin to correct what's wrong with this country. And I'm going to spend a couple of segments after this first segment talking about where we lost our democracy. Now, a lot of you don't know this. I talk about my undergraduate background in history and sociology, but I also had a political science minor as well. And it really shaped my views because I decided for myself, based on what I learned, what works and doesn't work, and then you get the practical application in history. And it comes back to the fact that, hey, we got to know what works. Well, what does work economically is gold and silver. We have a fiat money system that is failing. And I believe it's failing intentionally, as evidenced by a war we did not need to fight. And our dollar is teetering. And the tech bros that basically put Donald Trump into office are sitting there rubbing their hands together in joy and amazement and gleeful anticipation that they're going to get to control the money system with the digital dollar and control you with digital controls that come along that are part and parcel to, like Chinese social credit system. You want to be outside that system, you need to go gold and silver. Uh, we saw in the Great Depression in 1929, there were more people that got rich than ever before in American history. What? Oh, yeah. But the masses had massive wealth transfer upward to the upper class. Up until that time, we truly had a large, large middle class, largely because of democratic principles that were somewhat followed that are not being followed today. And then we also had a situation where people had more control over their politics. Well, we lost that with the Great Depression. And we basically established the beginnings of fascism. And basically, fascism is the marriage between government and business. And when we had the Work Progress Administration, the Civilian Conservation Corps in, well, we had it in the administration. Now, I'm not arguing it was all bad because people had to eat, but the people that make money on those systems got richer than anything. So, and it was a complete transfer of power. Average people were making money in the stock market because the American business economy was growing. Well, the rich don't like competition. And if they have to reset the system to get total control, that's what they do. They protect their own, and competition is their enemy. And this is what happened in 1929. It's what's happening again today. The trends are unmistakable. And for those of you that haven't got it yet, you will. You will. And this is where I'm talking about gold and silver, but it fits the story theme of what we're doing today. But those of you that don't see that Donald Trump's second term is wildly different than his first term. Now, don't get me wrong. The first 6 months of his first term were incredible. U.S. aid, Doge was phenomenal. And it looked like we were going to get perp walks for those people that were trying to steal democracy illegally, be the grifters. But we look at like the Somalian crisis, okay? You think Keith Ellison is going to go to prison for what's been revealed in the Senate? Senatorial and also congressional hearings have painted him as a grifter. An illegal grifter, nothing's going to happen to him. There's going to be no meaningful perp walks other than mid-level managers who will serve as a symbol that, hey, we have justice, but the real justice is just us, and they just walk away. So back to what I talk about with gold. The fiat system's going to crash. There are going to be a lot of casualties. Dave, you're being so negative. Excuse me. $39 trillion in debt and growing. $1.2 trillion in non-reimbursable interest payments on that debt. By non-reimbursable, we do not build one road, one bridge, donate to one school, one classroom, nothing. You get nothing for that money. That system can't survive when you're only taking in about $2 trillion a year. And a lot of that's going to the corporate grifters that use government for their purpose in exchange for campaign donation, which is part of the cost of doing business. Oh, Dave, is that why you want corporations out of the campaign business? Yes, absolutely. But right now, they're having their way with you, your finances, your liberties. Everything is at stake right now. Now, I can't use gold and silver to tell you that this will preserve your liberty, except to say that you'll be less bound to comply with things that aren't godly, aren't constitutional, if you're independent of the system. Now, I'm not saying take all your money out of the bank, but you need to have most of your money out of the bank, and you need to have 100% of your retirement out of the bank. Why? You've heard me say it. Dodd-Frank 2010. They can keep your money. The banks have got you to be declared to be an unsecured creditor. UCC code section 8, the same exact thing. They got you coming and going with two different regulations. And the banks are saying we can take risky loans, no big deal, because we got the backstop of the people's deposits to back us up. Oh, you don't think that'll happen? Excuse me, can we go back to 2008 for a moment? When the credit swap derivatives Ponzi scheme crashed because we did away with the Glass-Steagall Act that prevented those practices from happening, and we made the illegal legal, and we had Ponzi schemes, pyramid schemes, and that's what the 2008 crash was about. Your deposits bailed out the corporations. Well, the people were so upset. Congress said, "Oh, we're going to fix this. We're on the side of the people." Excuse me, all they did was basically change the language, but you're still the backstop. What do I mean by that? Well, very clearly, what ended up happening was now it won't be bailouts, it'll be bail-ins. The banks will say, well, you know that $10,000 you had in the bank? Well, now it's worth 3,000. What happened to the seven? Well, what's ours is ours, and what's yours is mostly ours. You see, we just shifted the bail out to the bail in. Glass-Steagall gone, the protection we had for these Ponzi schemes, and Dodd-Frank 2010 in. And you say, well, Dave, is that why you're so bullish on gold? Well, we are the Common Sense Show, and I would like to think that I have a measure of common sense and I can see when the game is being rigged against me. Now, we still have some land of opportunity. It is possible, and we see this with migrant people who know how to work incredibly hard. They come here, work the system, and by the second generation, their kids are doing really well because we have at least some measure of economic stratification. Unlike India, you're born into a caste system, and that's where you'll live and die. In America, we have a caste system, but it's not rigid. It's more permeable, and you can shift economic strata. And it does take hard work. It generally takes education. In other words, if you don't get formally educated, you better have some skills that translate. And this is the America of today, declining opportunity, declining economic and social mobility, but it's still somewhat there. But that window is closing. And I want you to hear me and hear me clearly on this. Once you let the tech bros put in the digital dollar and they control everything, how you spend your money, where your money can go, They can even commandeer your money. Remember, you're an unsecured creditor now under Dodd-Frank, and a business is faltering, a corporate investment is faltering. We'll just put that money in it for the people. And then they can determine how many steaks you can eat in a month, how far you can travel. Oh, do you think it's just an accident we have 15-minute kill switches in our car now? Oh, let me explain. They have the kill switch in your car. It's ostensibly to make you safe. The problem is the false positives are going to be off the chart. You have a certain mouthwash, you handle a certain food, and you haven't had any alcohol, but your system shuts you down. And it could be a very dire blizzard-like conditions, or in the desert where I live, where it could be 115 in the summer. And it's just absolutely amazing what ends up happening. So what we look at here, ladies and gentlemen, is this. You can get into gold and silver, okay, and you can preserve what you have. All you got to do is call 877-646-5347. 877-646-5347. Stay tuned because we're going to talk about how we've lost our democracy and more importantly, what we can do about it.